Welcome, everybody, to the Digital Nomad Experts podcast by Commute. Today, you've got Jeff and Marissa, and we're going to do our favorite type of episode, and it is rapid-fire questions from the audience. And if this is your first time listening, what we do is we save up all of the most interesting questions that we get through all the various channels. We get them in email. We actually went through, and I think we picked almost all of them from the podcast comments for this one. At least more than half in this one.
Most of them.
Yeah, you can actually go into Spotify and you can leave individual comments for specific episodes. So if you do have feedback about the episodes, definitely do that because we are reading them. Sometimes they're kind of funny. I remember we had one at the old podcast at the company I worked at before. It was a 2-star review that said meh. M-E-H. It was my absolute favorite. We were trying to get into
You would love it.
We were trying to get in this guy's head to figure out, like, what exactly was he meg? What did we do to get the 2 stars? Why not a 1 star? What exactly is meh? I don't know. I find them hilarious. So whatever reviews
we haven't seen any
leave,
of that for the Digital Nomad podcast here, but I hope we
even if
don't
you
get any, but that is pretty funny.
It is kind of funny, yeah. Just
do the opposite. Don't leave meh, leave like a
please
amazing.
Don't. Please don't.
We love it. Comments are so fun to read. So many of you have commented and said, like, you've literally started traveling since you listened to this podcast. We've been around for 3 years, 4 years? I don't even know at this point.
Yeah, so we're at like 190 episodes, and I think we started July 2021, so it's almost 4 years.
Wow, amazing. So many of you this, and if you're not traveling yet, take this as some inspiration. A lot of you have binged our podcast and we're just like, you know what? I'm doing this. Like, you guys have given me the courage. I can't tell you how many times we've heard that, and it means so much to us. So if you're one of those people, and people still listen too, that's what's so fun. We have so many of you have written in and said, like, I'm traveling now, but I still love your episodes. Like, I still tune in every week. So if you haven't told us yet that you've started travel, write us an email. We'd truly love to hear. hello@beachcommute.com. If you just want to share your story and be like, hey, I went to this place, I'm doing this, we love to hear it. So hopefully that gives you some inspiration. But yeah, for the podcast comments, if you have any questions on episodes, we have someone here. We've talked about some locations, and some of you travelers who are out there now are like, what about these, what about these places? So anything, if you want to comment, review, star, we'd love to read them.
I met 2 in the wild, 2 listeners in the wild. I know you've met at least one that didn't they just hear your voice? Like,
they heard my voice. That was wild. They were like,
yeah.
I recognize your voice. I think that was before. They didn't know what I looked like, but they recognized my voice, which is so wild. Like, that's insane. So we do meet you guys out in the wild, and it's so fun. So fun.
Yeah. So we've got questions, and how this works is we're just going to ask the other person alternating. So I'll ask one question, Marissa. She has to answer it on the fly without doing any prep. We haven't taken any notes. All we've done is copy and pasted the questions. So we're not sure who's going to get which questions, and we've got no prep for them, which makes it the most fun because it's like authentic. It challenges us. We stumble, and sometimes we come up with a good answer. Sometimes we're kind of come off like the goofballs that we are. Either way, it's fun for us, and it's usually we get good feedback from you guys too.
Yeah. So send us some questions. I forgot we didn't both answer these. I guess those are other episodes we both answer. So yeah, you want to start? Am I starting? How are we?
I'll ask you the first question. Okay. This one just came in. It's the question is, and this is paraphrased: are your locations, your top locations for digital nomads in 2025? That's what they're referring to. The most previous 2 episodes ago, I think. Most previous?
That's not a thing. Previous is just a laugh. Most recent or previous.
That's
Jeff
it.
didn't sleep much last night. Don't judge his intelligence today.
No,
all things are off.
Are they biased towards your travel group? So I think what this person was saying is we've got our little community and we know where all of they are traveling. And maybe when we're coming up with these lists, it's possible that we're a little overly indexing what we're seeing in our own little community, which is absolutely very possible. There is, for sure. And there's like a follow-up question to that. What about Budapest? We mentioned that. Madrid, Tbilisi, and Mexico City. They felt that we were a little harsh on these locations as not being digital nomad locations for 2025. So why don't we take the first one? First, are we biased towards what we see in our community when coming up with these lists?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
100%
Yes, we
guilty.
are. However, with that, I do think I mean, when we say it's our friend group, it's not like five group of people, a five group. I'm also not, I'm coming off of a 2.5 week flu, so please don't judge anything I am saying today either. It's not like five of our friends. We're talking about probably like 500 to 1,000 people within our community of kind of like friends of friends, people we have met and traveled with that we now follow on Instagram, people we keep in touch with, other, yeah, just kind of like within our group. So I would say absolutely it is a little bit biased towards some of those trends. Like sometimes our group of people, someone, like I feel like, was it last summer or yeah, I feel like last summer, suddenly like a bunch of people were in Mongolia. Like I feel like every other day I had like
Yeah,
five
it
new
was last
people and
summer.
they weren't even all friends or together, but somehow like people in our community were just popping up in Mongolia. Like that, I don't think that was common across all digital nomads. That was not like the
They
place
were
to
doing
be.
all the stands. A lot of the people were going
Yeah.
all through like Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, all that.
Yeah. So again, like we try so when we look at this, I think we are biased a little bit, but I'm like, okay, I know that that's our group of friends, but there's some places that we just see in general. So if you go back to that the most previous episode of our top, I think it was the 7 top 2025 location for digital nomads, we did try to look at that and say like, okay, beyond only where our friends are traveling. And yes, because we know so many digital nomads, like some of our friends should be traveling there, or it's probably not one of the most popular places. So it's a little mix of both of saying like we look at our community because that's where we see real data. It's not like a list you'll find on Google or ChatGPT, which we did read and found those were very untrue. So it's like really looking at like if you had a map of all of 1,000 digital nomads we knew that we personally know, right? Like where are they? Not just like theoretically where are people going. So I think it's 50% bias towards like when I say our friend group, it's really like I would say 500 to 1,000 digital nomads in our community that we know. And then I would say we also try to look at that from a fairly like neutral lens to say like, do we feel this is true for the whole group? Because again, like I mentioned with Mongolia or sometimes like Namibia, for example, like there's places I know our group of people are going, and like especially Connections of Wi-Fi Tribe, which is like most of Jeff and I's travel community through Diego, like that's our travel people. But I know that those are not the common place for most digital nomads, just based on other non-Wi-Fi Tribe digital, like, and I do know other people outside of that group as well. So to that question, I think it's a little bit of both. And specifically, and I love that you guys question us as well. So he was saying like, again, Budapest, Madrid, Tbilisi, Mexico City. He was like, what about these? Like, I think these are great. Like, I know a lot of people there and we love this. So I would say are places that one can go. They are great places that you might like to go, that many people might like to go, that you will find digital nomads here and there, but they weren't like the hot spots of 2025 is what I would say. And Jeff and I have been, right? Like we went to Budapest like fairly recently and we were there for a little bit. And it wasn't like, I wasn't feeling a community of digital nomads. I was feeling a whole lot of tourists. So people are there. You will find digital nomads in those locations. And so when we were harsh on some of those places, like Paris was one that came up on a Google list where I just feel like every now and then I see a digital nomad friend like chilling in Paris for a little bit, but it's not like where you're going to find the hub of digital nomads for cost reasons or other sort of things. So any of these places are places, we're not saying they're bad places, and we're not saying you can or shouldn't go as nomads. We're not saying you'll find 0 other nomads. It's just like those were sort of the places, the top 7 of 2025, where you're going to find like hubs of people. And we're also open. There's going to be other places too that we didn't mention. Somebody else wrote in. I could have sworn, maybe I was telling Jeff, maybe I like dreamed this with a fever. I could have sworn someone commented and said like, what about Chiang Mai? What about, there was somewhere in Vietnam. And I was
You
like,
did
you are
dream
so
that.
right. Like, I must have been dreaming about this episode. I was like, we forgot Chiang Mai. So there are other places too. These aren't exclusive, but just as a theme, those were sort of the main ones. Did I miss anything? Any thoughts?
No, I probably wouldn't add anything to that. Yeah, we are biased, but we also have some pretty good insights because we got a pretty large community. And yeah, no, actually, all the places that were listed out, I like all these places. I like Madrid, I like Budapest, I like Tbilisi, love CDMX. I just wouldn't go
And
there to
Mexico
find a
City made the
community.
list.
They did make the list. Yes,
Mexico City was on the list.
I think the comment was I was just a little harsh on Mexico City because of
Uh,
how much it's changed with the tourism
yes.
there and
Yeah.
like the influx of North Americans. So yeah, I'm a little harsh on it, but I'm harsh on it because I love Mexico City and I don't want it to change. So it's like
Yeah.
if anything, it's coming from a place of love rather than being mean to it.
Yeah. So I just want to say the last little thing on this is we love your comments. Feel free to share the places you're going because it helps us see outside of our little bubble where you guys are going and loving. And this person also wrote in and said he'd been living in I always say this word, Buenos Aires. I always feel so weird saying that. I sound Irish when I say it. I feel like I need some.
Iris.
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 We need Diego to say it for us.
Yeah.
But he said he went there for a couple months, like on his first nomad journey, because you, Jeff, had spoken so highly of it, and then went to Belgrade and was going some other places. So it's so fun. Like you guys really do. The person I met in Costa Rica was like, I'm here because of you. I went to Playa del Carmen because of you. And I was like, this is wild. Yeah. So yeah, we try to be honest about them, but it doesn't mean, and I think part of the question too was like, are you guys personally biased? And I think for that one, we tried to, there was some on there where I was like, I don't want to go to Mexico City. Like Jeff loves Mexico City, but we try to share just like, we will also share our opinions, but it's not really that.
Yeah, definitely not. There's plenty of places I don't love and we will share them because it's objectively correct.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to read you number 2. I feel like this actually, I feel like you've heard me career coach enough that you should, I feel like you'll have an answer to this question. It's a little more career coachy. So if you need me to jump in, let me know. But I think, I know you can nail it. So Jeff, put on your career coaching hat. I feel like by association, you are one now. This person, again, this is sort of paraphrased to cut it short. It was a longer email, but something along the lines of this person said, I have about 20 years of experience as a nurse, but I really want to find a remote job. Do you have any recommendations for companies or roles that I could look into?
Oh, that skill set, that's really, really hard to translate to digital. I mean, first thing comes to mind, I know there is telehealth that you can get into, but I also know that there's quite a few limitations with that. Like a lot of the companies actually they've got like geographical restrictions because of licensing, I think, and probably because of liability and insurance. Right, like especially, I've heard that with psychiatrists. So like they won't even treat people outside of the country, let alone them being outside of the country. And I think it has all to do with their licensing and whether or not they actually. It's
such outdated licensing. It's so frustrating. A therapist can't talk to someone if they're not in that same like country or state. It seems insane. But I have heard. I know I have traveled with several people who just like went under the radar, didn't tell, and did some therapy sessions remotely, did some of the like doctor. People are doing it. The rules are so insane. I hope that changes, but continue on.
Yeah, it is outdated, but it is what it is.
It exists,
I think those are probably the reasons why it doesn't happen more often. I think there's just all kinds of liability issues. Lawsuits. It just comes down to like a lot of lawsuits. So in that instance, I don't think that's a very transferable skill to being a digital nomad. Obviously, you have to do your own research and see if there's any workarounds to that. That won't get you fired or get your license revoked. But in that instance, I hate to say it, but I think you have to probably take on a different career path. I'm not saying like slash and burn and start your whole life over, but you may have to think about something that translates a little bit better to digital. So how'd I do?
You did good. You did really good. It's such a hard one. So many. I feel like there's a lot of you in the healthcare industry that are just like, get me out of here. Like, you like parts of what you do. Like I feel like we could have a niche of just like healthcare. Like I wish we could just hire you all because there's so many of you. But Jeff is right. I think it's hard to do exactly what you do without just doing, like a Doctors Without Borders type of, there's like travel nurses like within the US, but a lot of people will volunteer to do nurse work like abroad and different things. I met someone in Mexico once who ended up she almost did more like customer service stuff for people who were like outpatient cares to be like, my wounds are weird. Like, how often do I need to change this bandage? And she would kind of answer questions like that. Somehow that she was allowed to do that. But what I would say, check out the episode with Kristen. She actually transitioned careers completely. She was an ER nurse and she went into the field because she like genuinely loved it, wanted to help people, but really wanted to travel. So she listened to one of our episodes. If you actually check the link below, we'll link to it here, to get a Salesforce job. She went through a specific program with someone we worked through who's really awesome, who helps with that specifically. And she said, like, her quote was something along the lines of her worst days in her Salesforce job while having the freedom to like travel and work remotely are better than her best days as a nurse. Like, think about how, gives me chills. Think about how powerful that is. So, and the cool thing now, she says she actually will do volunteer nurse. Like she went to Ukraine a couple times to do some volunteer nursing. Basically, she said like all the red tape that she experienced from working in the hospital, she doesn't deal with anymore. She doesn't deal with all the negatives of the industry that have come with all the healthcare stuff going on. She still finds ways to still do what she loves and help people. But now she's just free to travel and has a different job that gives them more freedom and just less burnout. It was kind of her words. So it's tricky. Like so many people, it's hard to switch careers. It's scary. It's, there's all the questions about your salary and all of that. But I would say my question to you as a coach is like, hold out your hands. I would like to think of them as like a scale of like, is it worth it to stay in your nursing job as you are doing now versus have the freedom to travel and be anywhere you want and try something new? And often it's the scarier path, but trying something new is important. So yeah, take it for what it is. There's often not exact nursing roles. We do have a couple companies on the Anywhere Atlas that are kind of in the healthcare industry. So check out beachcommute.com/atlas if you want to view. There's over 300 companies in there. For anyone listening, it's really helpful. They're a database of companies we put together that only the companies that actually give you the freedom to travel while you work. So again, there's a couple of healthcare companies in there. Most of them are not. Likely you'll have to transition to something a little bit different, but is it worth it? Up to you.
Yeah, really good point. Is it worth it? I mean, you can get really caught up in I've done well in my career trap and I keep on moving up, and then you just get stuck not doing what you want to do in life for the sake of inertia, right? So I don't think it's worth it. I mean, that's just me at this point. So, okay. Next question. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. So this is pertaining to the top digital nomad locations for 2025. Question is, I was expecting Valparaiso to be on this list. I'd be curious to hear your opinions about it in a future episode.
I feel like the locations
today.
We did of 2025 was really pushed some buttons of some places that didn't make the list.
Who would have figured it would have been so controversial?
I did not. I was like, this one's very obvious. Here we go. But I love that you guys are asking. So for me, Valparaiso, that's a surprising one. I know Wi-Fi Tribe has done a couple of chapters there. It's a place that they go back to. So this is in Chile. I've been to Chile. I haven't been to Valparaiso specifically, but I feel like I've lived it through digital nomad friends who have been there. So for me, Jeff, I'm curious if you have any thoughts on this. So when I see people going to Chile, it's going to the Patagonia region and like Torres del Paine, which I have been to. But you kind of just have to take time off to go there and spend like 5 or 6 days hiking through the W Trek. And it's like some of the most, I don't even like mountains, the mountain towns. And even I was like, all right, this is really beautiful. So people are going to Chile, but I feel like, yeah, again, I only see when there's a specific Wi-Fi Tribe chapter there because it's a little bit off the beaten path. So I think it's it seems like a cool place to go as a digital nomad. And it seems like a cool vibe of like, I don't know, city meets like cool views and kind of like funky area. So if it calls to you, definitely check it out. But I definitely would not say it's one of the most popular places for digital nomads as a whole. Like I think you won't find, you might find a few digital nomads roaming around, but it's not going to be like a community of a WhatsApp group being like, here's where we're going tonight. Like, here's some things going on. That's my take on it. What do you think?
Yeah, it might be ignorant of me as well, but I have never heard of Valparaiso other than the context of Wi-Fi Tribe, people going there. Like, I've never heard anybody say, I'm going to Valpo outside of going to a chapter. And the last time I did hear of it, the place was in really bad shape. It was like on fire. There was like protests in the streets. This was like 5 years ago, so I'm sure that was all
2019 when there was a chapter there. Yeah,
long and over with. Yeah, but that's the only context I've really heard of Valpo. So I could be totally missing something. And whoever wrote that in, please correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe there is
send us pictures of all the digital nomads there.
What proof of life? Yeah, give us proof of life that it exists, and and then we will believe you. Just give us some evidence.
But people do like it when they go. I will say that. So check it out. Tell us what you think.
Yeah. Okay. I think yours to me this time, right? We're at 4.
So somebody wrote and said, Jeff, so Jeff is currently in Puerto Escondido in Mexico after he said he doesn't like sand and hasn't been to the beach in 5 years. Someone wrote and say, Jeff, how long are you staying in PE for?
I just extended again. So I had 1 month booked an additional 3 weeks, and now I just booked an additional 4 weeks on top of that. So I have at least another month and a half here. And yes, I've got sand everywhere. I've got sand in my butt. I've got sand in my ears that I can't get out. It's in my shower, and I hate it, but it's worth it. Like I really, really love life here. It is just it's just so nice. Although last night I had to bribe a police officer.
I didn't
I haven't
know
told you
this.
this yet. Yeah, I haven't told you this
I was
yet.
like, I
had to
thought I
bribe
knew
a police
everything. You didn't
officer.
tell me this. What
Yeah.
happened?
So this is a very, very safe city. There's no violent crime to speak of. There's really not even any opportunistic crime. Like I haven't heard of anybody having it. You can leave your stuff laying around and
Except your phone got stolen. You've realized you just misplaced it in someone's.
I've got shit over that too. Yeah, it's really the only thing you're not safe from here is the police. Like the police will bully you. They're very well known around here, and they're getting more and more empowered to do so. So they will set up these. It's basically like a shakedown. It's kind of a checkpoint. Well, they'll just pull everybody over in a specific location. Yesterday was right in La Punta. It's like in these. La Punta is just the main area that you stay. They're mostly just dirt roads and kind of just like you don't get bothered there. It's just really it's off the main highway. There's really nothing over here other than houses and restaurants. So there was a stop point last night, and I got pulled over on my motorcycle. And I'd say like 90% of the people don't wear helmets around here because you're going like 5 feet away on a dirt road, and it's just like you're a scooter. You really can't go that fast, anyways. And they said it's illegal to ride without a helmet. Okay, United States, you get like a little ticket, you get a fine, pay $50, $100, something like that. He says, we're going to take your bike. We're going to impound it. Like that punishment does not fit the crime. That is fucking crazy. Come to find out, like they do this, and it's like at least $200 to get it unimpounded. You have to go there, do all the stuff, get it unimpounded. I'm like, because I heard about it before, and I know that they set these up just as shakedowns. Because I got there, he searched my entire bag, everything in my bag, asked about drugs, asked about drinking, and then asked about a bribe. And I basically knew that was kind of where this was going. And I said, hey, totally get it. I was in the wrong, wasn't wearing a helmet. I would rather not go through this tonight. What can we do to make this go away? And he basically said, well, let me go talk to my supervisor. And then he comes back and he says, we can't do this. So we have to be very discreet. Like go to the back of your bike and show me your helmet and put some cash in there. I'm like, okay, how much cash to make this go away? He's all, how much is in your wallet? That's not the way it works. He had already searched through my whole wallet. So he already knew how much was in there. And I did not want him calling my bluffs. I'm like, fuck, I think I have to give him everything that's in my wallet currently.
Which was how much?
It's a lot. I think it's like over 2,000 pesos. So like over $100 US.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe with like 20.
Yeah, I didn't want to call my bluff though, because
Yeah.
I was already in dodgy territory, and it would still be cheaper than getting the bike impounded and then going and getting
True.
it. Who knows what else? So he's like, yeah, okay, put the money in the helmet, show me the helmet's there. And then he takes the money, I put on the helmet, and he says, okay, now this isn't exactly legit. So if anybody yells at you, any other cop, just keep going. I'm like, so this bribe didn't even pay my way out? Like, that's the whole fucking deal. I give you money and I like problem goes away. Like, and so no, that's not the way it went. So I had to like
just run,
blow out of there. Yeah. And I didn't have any problems, but I am like, I don't know, like $150 lighter, something like that, $120 lighter.
Your helmet from now on, Jeff?
Gotta have to everywhere. Even as silly as it is to ride it.
I think you should.
Away.
We had this, one of the episodes we did with Diego like years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was something we mentioned about like wearing a helmet, and I found out you didn't wear one when you rode your scooter. I have gotten in a scooter accident in Thailand on a road where like almost everyone falls, and I slid out and I had a helmet on because I would have like hit my head on the ground. So it's like, it was just a small beach town, but there the roads are really sandy and everyone kind of slides on around corners sometimes. But
yeah, there's a name for it, right?
I'm glad you're going to wear a helmet, Jeff.
Yeah,
the Copenhagen tattoo is what they call it there, because I still got, I got a nice little scar on my ankle from a rock I landed on. That will be there forever. So wear your helmet. Thank you, cops. But I'm sorry you dealt with that. It's interesting in Mexico, though. Yeah. Everybody, like, I think most people are scared of, I don't know, like really bad things happening there.
It's the
It's one of the
cops.
few places. It's the cops. It's the same
Yeah.
like when I go
No,
to
they're
Playa del
corrupt.
Carmen.
Mm-hmm.
When I go to Playa, it's one of the only places where, as a female, I feel like I feel safer traveling than my male friends because
Mm-hmm.
cops typically go for the males there to like shake you down and take your stuff, and they don't bother females as much. So weirdly,
Mm-hmm.
like that's and, and I say sometimes $20, $30, $40, you kind of just make it go away. But
Mm-hmm.
before we scare everyone away from Mexico, because it's one of my favorite countries to travel to, I know you love it and potentially would love to stay there even longer. What are you loving about Peep? This wasn't a question, but I just want to make sure people hear this too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm staying in my own little apartment. It's got a huge balcony. It's all windows, so I get tons of light. It's really affordable. I am like 60 seconds away from the beach where we play volleyball, spike ball, incredible sunsets, like screensaver sunsets. I've also got pickleball right down the street. We've got paddle right down the street, which we go to. A ton of awesome restaurants. Tons of like, if you're into like sushi, if you're into really nice cocktails, if you're into mezcal, everything's there. And there's a huge community of digital nomads, and you just kind of run into friends everywhere you go. So it's like kind of everything you want, and the weather's perfect. It's just warm and beautiful out. So it's comfy living. It's very, very comfy living, and it's
Love that.
just something to do all the time. So highly recommend. And they're gonna have to drag me out here. How much time do I have? 6 months? I don't
In
remember.
Mexico,
Yeah, without a residency, was it like 6 months?
six months. If they
It
wrote that
doesn't
on your
matter.
passport, sometimes they don't. They are doing a weird thing. At least in like in Cancun, you fly in that if you're not specific,
Yeah.
like put 180 days. Sometimes they'll just put like 18 days, and then you overstay and you get in trouble. So you should look at
Mm.
what your passport says. But maybe it's time you get a Mexico residency like me, and then you can stay indefinitely.
Let me grab my passport and see how much they gave me.
I'm curious.
Yeah, me too.
So
Okay, next one up, coming to you. I feel like we need an episode for Marissa to explain why she dislikes Europe, such a beautiful and culturally rich continent. Well, this is the episode, so let's have it.
I know I would love to dedicate a whole episode. I don't think you all want to hear it. I could go on about Europe for hours and hours.
Yeah.
Someone wrote this in a while ago. We've been meaning to address it. So I'm going to try to explain. First of all, this kind of goes similar to the first question where it's like, this is a Marissa opinion. This is not to say Europe is bad. Like, I would say the majority of our digital nomad friends, like 80 to 90% of our nomad friends, love to spend summers in Europe, bopping around to all different places around
Yeah.
Albania, Spain, Italy. I feel like Scotland. People love Europe. So this is not to say that Europe is bad. This is a very personal opinion. And I think what's cool I've learned from traveling so much and having so many travel friends is that everybody has a really different opinion on the places like that you love. So what you love might be very different than me. So I just want to preface it with that. Now to explain why I personally dislike it. This gets into the weird, like, woo, energetic things that Jeff will laugh in my face. He's looking at his passport right now. Did you
Yeah,
find
I
an
am.
answer? What's
You
your
know what?
passport say? We'll get back to
I
it.
think when I came in, I don't think I got a stamp this time.
What do you mean you didn't get a
It
stamp?
might have been. It might
Oh,
have been
did
one
you
of
do a
the
digital
auto.
one?
No, it might have
Okay.
been like the odd. You just walk through and it takes a picture of your face and you walk through. I think that was
Okay.
one of those ones.
So you should have
One
180
of
days.
those.
then,
Yeah, I
in
think
theory.
so. I think it's just one of those It was. I think it was an automated one where you just look through and it scans your face and you just walk through.
No stamp. I wish everywhere did that so we didn't have to like get our
Yeah.
passports filled and have to get new
So
passports
fast,
before they
too.
expire. All right, you can stay forever. Stay
Yeah.
for 6 months.
Yay.
Leave and go back. Love it.
Okay,
Okay, so Europe.
back to Europe.
I feel energetically weird in different places. If you're listening to this, you're like, what the fuck are you talking about, Marissa? It's sort of hard to explain. I am very sensitive to energy. If you got any empaths listening out there, if someone walks next to me and they're sad, I can feel their sadness. If someone walks by and they're angry, I can feel that they are angry. And so the same kind of goes for me for places. Like when I arrive somewhere, I can feel the energy of a place. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, one, this is actually kind of scientific, so I know it sounds like super woo and weird, but you can measure the energy, like when we say like, oh, your vibes are weird, your energy is off. Like you literally vibrate at a certain speed depending on the emotions that you are feeling. So likewise, the earth has different. Jeff is like, I've like lost Jeff. The Earth has.
No,
I will
I'm
go on.
listening.
This is okay. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about. So, as an example, when a couple of my friends were just visiting me in Costa Rica, and one of my best friends I've known for like 20 years, probably longer, he was like, "Why does the ocean here just like hit differently? Like, I feel like this ocean here is just better, more healing than like being at an ocean anywhere else." And I think he was just kind of thinking, like, I thought he was going to be like, yeah, like, just sort of like not actually true, but it does feel that way. I was like, you want to know why? Let's talk about it. But truly, there's something called ley lines in the Earth. Do you know what this is, Jeff?
I think you might have. That sounds familiar.
Okay, so the same way I told him this, and he was like, I don't know what this is either. Our bodies have like meridian lines that are just like energetic lines that go through your body. The same way the Earth has as like energetic lines. So there's a lot of theories about this, and I don't think anything's quite been scientifically proven of the why yet. But if you connect like a lot of the spiritual places in the world of like Machu Picchu, the pyramids of Egypt, like Stonehenge, they kind of follow these ley lines. So it's unclear if like these were built because they were energetically like powerful places, or if like it became spiritually powerful and energetic because of them, chicken or the egg sort of thing. But either way, there's like energy lines in the Earth and places that hold energy. So for me, I don't know what happened. Maybe it's a past life. Maybe it's just weird energy in Europe. But I feel like the whole, like for the, like aside from maybe places in Greece, Iceland's a little better for me. But like the mainland of Europe is just feels weird to me. Like I feel like some heavy stuff went on there. I feel like for me, like if you, all my friends know this about me, like if any apartment I ever have, any place I ever stay in, like I want new, I want modern, like the newer the better, the brighter the better, because even places and furniture holds energy. So like, let's say a place is 70 years old. Think about all the people who have lived in that building, and like when they were sad and when they were angry, like it stays there. And if you're thinking I'm crazy, I swear this is like scientifically true. So anyway, I feel like in Europe, there's a ton of like, there's so many old castles and old buildings. And for some people who don't feel energy the way that I do, they're like, this is charming. It's beautiful. It's like, I love this old timey feel. And I'm like, please get me away from this. So that's why I say to each their own. There's a travel influencer who I like know through a friend who posts all stuff that's like, she loves like the old timey European, like the dark kind of castle-y libraries. Like that's her vibe.
That's the good stuff. Yeah.
Jeff loves it. That's like, I'm like, get me away from it. Give me a tropical beach with a brand new building and some palm trees. And like, I'm a happy girl. So anyway, I've either get like half the people here are probably like, I see you, Marissa. The other half are like, you've lost your mind. Whichever, that's okay. That's my personal opinion of Europe. But all I can say is like, when I walk on that continent, I just feel like my body wants to like close off, and I don't like the energy there. I'm very aware that Europe is a large continent, and all the countries do feel very different. And some places feel like when you're more in nature, it's like a little bit better for me. When I'm by the coast and oceans, it's a little bit better. Like I was in the south of France last year for a little bit. And it's better, but it's still, I'm like, I just feel like, yeah, there was a person I was with who we were in Nice, and she was like, I could live here. Like, I want to spend my summers here. And I was like, this is my nightmare. Like, she was looking at all the old quaint apartments, and it was like her dream. And I was like, I want to run away.
I want to die.
I want to die. Get me back to Costa Rica. Get me back to Sri Lanka. So anyway, this is like, again, not to, like Jeff does not feel this way. Like other people love Europe. Europe is good for many people. That is my rant on Europe. I could go on and on and on. And all I can say is the energy feels dark and heavy in Europe. So please, I would love if someone wants to, whether you're commenting on Spotify here or write us in hello@beachcommute.com. If anyone has any idea, like if you feel the same, please let me know. I would love to know if anyone else feels this as well. Or if you feel energy of places in general, like send me an email. Let us know. We do read those emails. Our team tags us and we check them and we'll respond. But that's my rant on Europe. Did I miss anything, Jeff? Like
you said, you feel like some bad stuff has happened there. I've got a surprise for you. A lot of bad
stuff is everywhere. I know.
No. A lot of bad stuff has happened in Europe in particular.
So bad.
So
much bloodshed
of bad stuff happening in Europe. Yeah, that stuff's happening everywhere, but Europe in particular. Yeah.
like so many wars and slaughters, and like all the
Lot of
buildings are still there, like holding it. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's like when people go and look, and like we're in Prague, everyone's like, let me go in this old church. I'm like, I will sit outside and wait for you. Let me know. Like I won't walk in them anymore. I won't. So a lot of bad stuff has happened. And it's interesting. I learned maybe a couple years after I started going to Playa del Carmen in Mexico that the whole city, I think I was there maybe 2 years ago, and it was the town, like the town, city, whatever you want to call Playa. It was their 30th anniversary of existing. So like this town has only existed for 30 years. And I was like, that's
Mm-hmm.
why I love it so much. Like the buildings are new. There's not much there. Like maybe stuff happens. Stuff happens everywhere. There's a lot of Mayan ruins nearby.
Mm-hmm.
So I know things have happened, but there's something about Europe. I don't know if it's the amount of bad things that have happened or just that like it feels like it's stored there and not like wiped clean. I feel like there's something about tropical beaches where it's like
Mm.
it wipes the energy clean, like maybe the ocean. I don't know. Y'all are probably, I feel like I've lost a lot of people here. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
not. Maybe you enjoy hearing my weird. There's a lot of science behind it all, but I am just like such a
Yeah.
firm believer. So I don't know exactly what it is. If anyone else has any other hunches, but I have some other like woo friends who will also tell me like they're like, yeah, Europe feels weird. It's a heavy place. So if you feel energy,
Yeah.
tell me if you think most of Europe is also heavy. Again, there's little spots here and there. Closer to the coast is better, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a general no for me. I will go, but I won't love it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's that.
All right. Good.
One
You
more
did good.
question.
Yeah.
Last
Okay.
question to you, Jeff. Okay. I might paraphrase this one. It
Sure.
says something about, it says you mentioned a lot about community. I'm new to
Mm-hmm.
being a digital, this is a question someone wrote in. I'm new to being a digital nomad starting in the next month and was wondering if you have any good tactics to help build a community. I've solo traveled before and found it really easy to make friends in hostels, but I feel like now that I'll be working, yes, this is very different. It's going to be a lot harder to make friends with people.
Okay, so there's a lot of different ways I'd say to make community. I mean, I will preface this by saying I'm not fully up to date on like the digital nomad travel groups. So I mean like Remote Era, which I think is now defunct, Hacker Paradise. I don't even know if they're still around.
I think they
They're
joined forces with someone else
they
recently.
did. Okay, okay. And then you've got like Outside, and then obviously the one I'm most familiar with would be Wi-Fi Tribe, where we kind of started our thing. So of the like official digital nomad communities that you travel with, I think Wi-Fi Tribe is always a great option, especially for people that don't yet have a community. I mean, that was the thing that got me a community initially as a digital nomad, which was awesome. And I cannot recommend Wi-Fi Tribe enough times. I absolutely adore it. Outside of these like official travel groups, I would say that I think it really depends on the city and how to integrate with some of the digital nomads there. I would say at least for starters, you'd want to pick one of our top digital nomad destinations so that you know there is a community there. I mean, for the first starting point is you kind of do want to go to a place where it's just not where there's going to be digital nomads that you can run into. And then I would also suggest probably I think yeah, I'd probably start on the smaller end in terms of size with the communities. So, like for example, if you go to Mexico City, it's like 25 million people there, and it's just going to be a little harder to run into people without like actually using some sort of tool to find groups. You know, like searching online to find groups. Whereas opposed to like Puerto Escondido, it's only this big, so you just go to the beach and you just start meeting people. And I've already met like a bunch of people, and it's really easy to integrate to some of these communities, especially in these small ones. Everybody's digital nomads. You just run into each other over sports, and that's also something I recommend too. Different activities in the area depending on what they've got going on here. They got a bunch of volleyball, spike ball, and you just go out there and you play sports and you just automatically start meeting people. A little harder to do that in a really big city, in a mega city like Mexico City. Yeah, it's a digital nomad spot, but maybe a little harder to integrate with some of the digital nomad groups. Let me try to think if there's any more. I know that you can also find people on Nomad lists because people will check in. I know that also if you join Nomad, it's an app that our friends have built. You can see by location and by time frame where people are going to be, and you can get a whole bunch of different like recommended people to add to your community via like second and third degree connections, which is really helpful. And then I'd throw one more thing else out there would be like co-living, co-working spaces. I probably should have put that in earlier because that's a really easy way to meet people. Co-living space is just that. It's basically for workers who are traveling, and it's a space that everybody lives in. Usually they're kind of like really small apartments. It's almost like you definitely pay a little extra for that, like all baked in, everything taken care of for you kind of community type of thing. But it's a good starting point. And usually as a added benefit to that, they have co-working spaces that you can go to, usually right on the premises. So you've got like a nice workspace and usually pretty good Wi-Fi. So co-living spaces are a pretty good soft landing for people that are just trying to start being digital nomads, because everything's just kind of baked in for you, and you've got fewer things to worry about, and you'll just stumble upon other digital nomads, and they're all working. And most digital nomads are like pretty open. They're not really closed groups where, people will tell you can't hang out with them or anything like that. Yeah, that's everything that comes to mind. Do you think I missed anything, or would you add anything?
No, those were good. I would say like the kind of one of the words that was used in here is like it's really easy to make friends in hostels specifically, but it's like as you transition, you don't just want partying hostel people because you're sitting there working all day. So I think as Jeff was talking about co-living places, just search co-living and then whatever city or town you're going to. So Jeff mentioned Outsite, that's Outsite. That's a really popular one. It's like one of the chains that's in a lot of places. There's some more local ones in different places, but it's just an easy way of imagine you're just at a hotel and you're like, everyone else is just traveling and they're in and out for vacation or work or whatever. You're not really going to meet people in a proper hotel, but a co-living space is kind of like almost like a hotel meets hostel. So you get like the kind of clientele you get at a hotel, but it's all digital. Nomad, so you're just going to meet your people in co-living places. So I would say just search for co-living. The other thing, I also second everything you said about like sports and activities. I meet people through that as well. But the other one I would say is see if you can find, it's a little bit harder, but see if you can find a WhatsApp group in some of those major locations. So in Playa del Carmen, for example, there's a couple different WhatsApp groups for digital nomads, specifically who like you're in that location. And also there's meetups. So for example, in Playa, I think like every Monday night, there's a digital nomad meetup, like at this rooftop bar it's every week. The same like in Lisbon, there's like meetups for digital nomads. So if you can either find, like you could probably just Google it. It's harder when you're just starting out because it's easier if you can just like ask a friend who's been there before to add you to a WhatsApp group. But you can find Facebook groups, and there's like tons of digital nomad Facebook groups. I would say go in there, see if you can find a Facebook group for the location you're going and say like, hey, like what activities are going on, or are there any WhatsApp groups, or does anyone play volleyball? Like if that's what you like, or does anyone like, maybe you dance, there's like dance, whatever it is that you do. So yeah, activities, WhatsApp group, Facebook groups, co-living spaces. And I would say you can't beat, I know Jeff said this as well, but I want a second, Wi-Fi tribe, I think changed both of our lives of just having friends of friends of friends of friends. And it's like, no matter where we go, there are Wi-Fi tribe people there. And those are typically the people who I connect with first, and then they know other people. So there's a mix. But I would say if you've traveled to and stayed in hostels before, and you think that like, I think I know people who, I think I do know people who kind of are trying to start digital nomad life and stay in hostels and are like, this isn't for me. This isn't going to work. And I would say, you're absolutely right. It's probably not going to. Like, you're going to get exhausted by the partiers just like going through while you're trying to like work from your laptop. So that is not the way. that is definitely not the way. But there's like, yeah, just Google co-living spaces wherever you live. And that's a good start if you don't want to like stay in your own place and be more siloed, trusting you can meet people. But yeah, I think definitely going to those hot spots as well. And I think it was either 1 or 2 episodes before the top 7 locations for this year, and we'll continue to do new episodes each year for that. But I would say start with those, because then you'll meet people, and then when you go to the next place, you'll have 10 new friends that you met wherever you went who can connect you with other people when you go to your new place. It's just kind of like once you're in the network of nomads, it's easier to kind of like continue to get to, like, people will just recommend you, like, oh, I have a friend there, like, talk to them and so on. So anyway, that's the gist of it. But we do need to do a new episode on like
we gotta
on
brush
the
up on all of
communities.
that. Yeah.
And someone also asked us to do an episode on like what are the best co-living spaces around the world too, which we definitely need to do that one as well to get some info. I know Jeff and I don't stay in them as much anymore because typically we're just traveling with people we know that have traveled with for a while, but it's a really important one. So we will get that info, ask around for some of those best ones, but at the very least, just like, I think any Google search you do of like whatever the town is and co-living, you'll find some options and just look at the reviews and people will give you advice there. Yeah. That's up.
Another good option. Okay, that's it. Please keep writing us in. We're checking all of our channels. Again, you can leave comments directly in Spotify per individual episode that you're listening to. If you got questions or comments about that. Also, we are at, I think, 97 reviews still for Apple Podcasts. Once we get to 100, we're going to do the ayahuasca episode. So for you listeners, please, it only takes, all you have to do is actually click a star and you're done.
Just click your 5 stars.
Click 5 stars and it counts. We need 3 more. Just 3 of you do it. Just go do it right now. Just go do it.
If you want a nice story, we promise it's going to be, if you liked anything about my Europe rant, no, there's more to that. But Jeff and I went to a cave in Bolivia, did ayahuasca over a course of 5 nights. It is worth it. So if you haven't given it 5 stars, click those stars.
It's worth the listen. Yeah, other than that, you can write us in at hello@beachcommute.com. You can join the Anywhere Atlas. That's anywhereatlas.beachcommute.com. Anything else?
And if you just want to join our email list, you can also just go to beachcommute.com/email. We send out daily remote job listings and fun travel digital nomad tips, which are really awesome. There's so much good info packed in there, tons of different companies and roles that you might get inspired by. Maybe you'll find your job in there. So tons of good stuff there, beachcommute.com/email. And again, we'll link to all of these in the show notes below if you want to just click there. And other than that, we will see you next week.